Hello, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. Playing an interesting one in Best of One today. It is a Jeskai Beamsplitter deck that was heavily inspired by a friend of mine who introduced me to the card Beamsplitter Mage a week ago. Before I get into the deck and talk just a little bit about it, the usual YouTube stuff, like, comment, and subscribe if you can. Thank you very much for doing that. And information about the deck list as well as timestamps are in the description as always. So, Beamsplitter Mage, a card I didn't even know existed a week ago. It is a 2/2 for 2 in Izzet colors, Vidalcan Wizard, that says whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell that targets only Beamsplitter Mage, if you control one or more creatures that spell could target, choose one of those creatures. Copy that spell, the copy targets the chosen creature. So basically what happens is, let's say you have a Defiant Strike, you cast it on the Beamsplitter Mage, and then you have another creature on the field, let's say a Clever Lumimancer. Well, that's a valid target. The Beamsplitter Mage is going to create a copy of the Defiant Strike and cast it on the Clever Lumimancer. Now, the cool thing about the Mage is that it is creating a copy, and well, those copies work incredibly well with Magecraft. So we are playing 4 Clever Lumimancers and 4 Leonin Lightscribes. Clever Lumimancer and Leonin Lightscribe both have Magecraft that say whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, they do something. In the case of Clever Lumimancer, it gets +2/+2 until the end of turn, and in the case of Leonin Lightscribe, it's going to give creatures you control +1/+1 until the end of turn. So if you have some of these creatures in a combination on the field, big things are going to happen for you. Next, we're playing 2 more supporty type creatures, 4 Selfless Savior and 2 Dreadhorde Arcanist. The Selfless Saviors are in there to give indestructible to our more valuable creatures, and then Dreadhorde Arcanist, a 1/3 for 2 with Trample that says when Dreadhorde attacks, you may cast target instant or sorcery card with converted mana cost less than or equal to Dreadhorde Arcanist's power from the graveyard for free. This works incredibly well with Magecraft and with the Beamsplitter Mage. Next, of course, we're going to have some instances and sorceries to cast. Well, in the case of this deck, only instances. Invigorated Rampage 4 of and Unleashed Fury 4 of. These are the 2 big hitting ones in the deck. They are both 2 CMC instances. The Invigorated Rampage says target creature gets +4/+0 and trample until the end of turn, or 2 target creatures get +2/+0 and trample until the end of turn. Very cool to cast this on a Beamsplitter Mage, giving it +4/+0, bumping it up from a 2/2 to a 6/2. And then let's say you have a Lumimancer on the field. Well, it's going to create a copy, cast it on the Lumimancer, give it +4/+0, and it's also going to trigger the Lumimancer's Magecraft twice. So effectively, this Invigorated Rampage with those 2 creatures on the field is going to be giving 12 power to your creatures. And then Unleash Fury doubles the power of target creature until the end of turn. Not very effective with a whole bunch of 1 power creatures, but if we are able to pump up some of our creatures either through Magecraft or through cards like Invigorated Rampage, well, the Unleash Fury can suddenly make fireworks happen. Next, we have Fight as 1, 2 of, and God Willing 4 of. Both of these are going to be protection spells in the deck. We're only playing 2 Fight as 1 because, well, we only have 1 human in the deck. That is the Clever Lumimancer. Everything else is a non-human. But still, as an instant speed 1 CMC spell that just gives 1 creature +1/+1 and indestructible until the end of turn, I think it's pretty good. And then 4 God's Willing because it's going to be able to protect our creatures, giving one of our creatures protection from a color of our choice. And we can use this either defensively or offensively. Let's say your opponent is on elves. They have a whole line of green elves. You give one of your big creatures protection from green and swing in. And it also scries 1. And then the final 2 spells in the deck, 4 Defiant Strike and 4 Reckless Rage. Reckless Rage, obviously really good as a removal spell. In our deck, the Beamsplitter Mage and Selfless Savior don't survive the hit from the Reckless Rage, but the other 3 creatures in our deck do. And then Defiant Strike is really cool with the Beamsplitter Mage, especially because, well, it'll give +1/+0 to the Beamsplitter Mage, and if we have another valid creature on the field, it'll also target that. And then we're going to draw 2 cards, one for the original spell and one for the copy. Next, to illustrate the power that this deck can really generate, I want to talk about a very idealistic situation. Let's say your opening hand is these 7 cards. Imagine that. Or let's say maybe you have the first 5 cards and then on turn 2 and turn 3 you draw into Unleash Fury or Defiant Strike. You know, something like that. Anyways, a combination of these cards within your first few turns. Well, what you can do is, well, go turn 1, Sacred Foundry, tap it, put out your Clever Lumimancer. Simple enough. Turn 2, put out your Hallowed Fountain, put out your Beamsplitter Mage, and then pray that your opponent doesn't have any kind of interaction or any blockers. Again, this is a very idealistic situation, but I just want to illustrate how crazy the power of these creatures can get just from a few cards. Then on turn 3, you're going to play out your pathway, tap your Sacred Foundry, cast your Defiant Strike, targeting the Beamsplitter Mage. Well, what this is going to do is trigger Clever Lumenmancer's Magecraft. And then, since you have another valid target creature for the Defiant Strike, well, Beamsplitter Mage is going to create a copy of the Defiant Strike, cast the copy, which triggers the Lumenmancer's Magecraft one more time, and then casts the Defiant Strike on the Clever Lumenmancer. The result of this is going to be the Beamsplitter Mage becoming a 3/2 and your Clever Lumenmancer becoming a 5/5, and you're going to draw 2 cards. Surely you can find Unleash Fury within those cards that you've drawn this turn. And then, with your last 2 mana, you can cast out Unleash Fury, and things get real crazy. Now, your Beamsplitter Mage is going to become a 6/2, and your Clever Lumenmancer is going to become an 18/9. Well, it's going to grow from a 5/5 to a 7/7 with the first Magecraft trigger, and then with the second Magecraft trigger from the copy, it's going to go into a 9/9, and then the Unleash Fury copy will resolve, pumping it up to an 18/9, and well, that looks like lethal to me if your opponent is struggling in the first few turns of the game. Pretty neat, pretty idealistic, but I've seen similar things happen while testing this deck, so you never know. Keep an eye out for it. So that is the idea behind the Beamsplitter aggro deck. It's pretty fun. It's a little bit of a clunkier version of the Boros aggro deck that I've been playing a little bit here and there, but still, it is pretty entertaining. Jump into a few games and see how they go. See you over there. All right, trying to split some beams in Historic with Jeskai aggro. Kind of seems like a fun deck. Best of 1. Nothing too complicated. It's almost the end of the season. Just squeaking out a few games. I think the season's going to end in like 2 hours. And then can start that mythic climb once again. That's always fun, right? Of course, this video is going to be coming out on Friday. So actually, the season will have reset like 9 days ago, because I am taking the week off, but I am recording videos just to get ahead of the curve, because I know I'm going to have to store up a few videos for something that's happening in a couple weeks. Part of the reason for this week off as well. So lead on the Clever Lumenmancer, see what the opponent's up to. I imagine they're going to have red. I was kind of thinking it's going to be Jeskai. I don't really hate just going Lumenmancer, loading up the board, and really slamming them next turn. Invigorated Rampage plus Defiant Strike can get out of control real fast. Could also just go Light Scribe into Defiant Strike. I'll make a decision depending on what they do. Omen of the Sea, not a big deal. Oh, black. Okay, well, more land. So, I'm going to get more damage out of this. Like, this is going to represent 10 damage by itself. This is going to represent 7 damage, so that's a pretty good hit to the opponent. And if we can find something on this Defiant Strike, that's going to be alright. Gotta imagine they have some kind of removal, though. Crack the Omen. Crack the Omen. What? Come on. Well, let's play that out. And now I'm still not sure if I want to put out the Light Scribe or Invigorated Rampage. Well, go to combat. Okay. Well, now I think I'm definitely going to invigorate something. I did not expect the Spectral Sailor. Do that. So here comes a ton of damage. Must have miscounted somewhere because I thought it was going to be more. Oh, it has lifelink. That's why, right? There's Battlefield Death Touch and lifelink. Well, that's cool. So, shock this in, put out the Light Scribe. And go to combat. It'd be a pretty good way to start off this video. The opponent kind of not doing a whole lot, but... yeah, well, gotta try it. Put it on the unblocked Lumimancer. It gets plus... it'll go up to 3-4, and then it'll double. So not quite lethal. Paragon, keeping the opponent in the game with that lifelink. Goodness. Oh, and they bounce. Okie doke. Still not bad. You know, the board's good. You really need a... something like a Defiant Strike here would be fantastic. They scry 2 to the top and draw that one, so it must have been pretty good. And we draw awfully. Yeah. What is going on? Okay. Well, did not expect the old Cunning Night Bonder. Oof. That might have really turned the game in the opponent's favor. Although, Invigorated Rampage is going to be pretty good here. Fairy Vandal, sure. Enters the battlefield whenever you draw your second card each turn, put +1/+1. Okay, I have no idea what the opponent's up to. Well, I think I'm going to spread this out a little bit, just in case they have another Brazen Borer. It's lethal. Currently. I think I ran into a very similar deck the other day with this Cunning Night Bonder. I had no idea what was going on then, and I still have no idea what's going on. It does seem like a pretty neat deck, but get the win anyways. Next one. Alright, match 2 with the Beamsplitter. I hope this card works out well. It's so neat. I'm going to try this. I wish I had a 1-drop, but that's okay. Also no protection, so gonna basically be putting out the Beamsplitter a little bit vulnerable, but oh man, they're gonna be on Jeskai, so they're certainly gonna have Lightning Helix. Alright, put up the Light Scribe. Pray that they don't in fact have Lightning Helix. Well, not this turn. God's Willing is fantastic. So next turn is going to get real silly if I can dodge a little bit of removal next turn. And if I find another white untapped source, that'd be really good. Or any untapped source, rather. So Brainstorm for the opponent. They're going to take full advantage of the Fabled Passage, shuffle away the top of their deck, get rid of some useless cards. But they got to do something big, and they have a God's Willing to contend with, so pretty happy with the way this is looking. I think this is like one of the more ideal situations. Of course, the Light Scribe just as good as the Lumimancer in this position. They didn't get a red source with the island, so... ooh, our opponent might be dead next turn. Into the North is not going to save you. And they did 2 damage to themselves with the Breeding Pool, so... okay. Well, that's not an untapped land, unfortunately, but we get 2 draws here with the Defiant Strike. Also not an untapped land, and not an untapped land, but... we're going for it. Alright. So that is some pretty good damage on turn 4. Next one. Alright, game 3. Oh, I sure hope things work out just as well as they did in the last game. Wouldn't that be something? Well, that is a lot of fury, isn't it? If I had one more creature, yeah, I'd consider keeping it, but I think I can't rely just on the Light Scribe, can I? No, I'm going to throw it away. It's fine. Unfortunately, I don't have a red source for the Beamsplitter Mage. Gonna get rid of one of those. Hope I draw into the red source, or a blue source rather, for this old Vidalkin. And it looks like the opponent might be on like a big colorless mana, or big green mana. Ugins, yeah. Alright, so I am racing. Best I can do, put out a Light Scribe next turn, hopefully find a land. I think I got maybe 2 turns before this game goes really sideways. A land. I'm gonna save, I think, the Defiant Strike for next turn. Just get in for 2 here. I don't expect them to have interaction. They might have fogs, though. I played against this deck earlier in testing, and they were certainly playing... I can't remember what the name of the fog is, but I got to keep that in mind. I can't exactly go super ham knowing that they might have that. Although now that they're tapped out, I think I have to try my luck now. Beamsplitter's not good enough, so let's pump up these fellas. Fight as one's not terrible, but it's not good enough, so... Still pretty good amount of damage here. This will be 12, 15. It's not lethal, but I think I have to... Oh, it is lethal. I must have miscounted. Hey, even if you can't do math, you can still win with this deck because apparently it just works like that. I know what I did. I only accounted for one of the Magecraft triggers, not double Magecraft trigger, which allowed it to go up to 7, and then, yeah. Next one. Alright, well these games are just humming along, aren't they? This is only 12 minutes into the video, as far as games go. Kinda should account for the intro, but it shouldn't be too long. This deck is pretty straightforward. So this hand, again, needing the blue source. Only 10 blue sources in the deck, I believe, so gonna have to get a little lucky. Hey, the Reckless Rage is going to be fantastic in this matchup. I can tell you that much. I think it's probably okay just to go with the Dreadhorde Arcanist, though, pass the turn, and then next turn, double Reckless Rage, probably. Okay, well, there's the blue source. So let's do that. And then... Oh yeah, getting punished for my bad mana. No. If I had a little bit more foresight, would have put this on red. What can I do? Veto Thorn. Well, that's going to be an excellent target for my Reckless Rage next turn. So put that out like that. The problem is, though, I don't really want to lose my Dreadhorde Arcanist. Maybe it's fine to do this, kill the Veto Thorn. If they block with the Speaker of the Heaven, I give up the Selfless Savior. That's okay. Yeah. And then next turn, crazy things are going to happen if the opponent can't deal with either of these creatures, which I kind of suspect they're not going to be able to. Tap land is good. Bishop of Wings, super, super, super fine with me. All right. So, let me just double check that my mana is tapping properly. This goes here. Then this goes here. Oh, it's so fun. When it works, it's hilarious. Nice. Yeah. If they have a Fatal Push, no. Yay! Well, keep it going. It's working so far. Next one. All right, game number 5. I don't know if this is going to continue. This deck is not this good. Don't. It's just happening to work out super well. Got a mulligan that one. A little terrible. Now this is what I kind of expect more. No red source, only one creature. I feel like I gotta throw this one away again. And I gotta keep this one. It's really awkward mana though with those. Throw that away, maybe throw that away. And just rely on the 2 light scribes. Yeah. Okay, put this out on... I think I gotta put it out on white. I can't... Yeah. Ooh. That's scary. Well... Oh, man. What do I do? This is how the deck should be working. Awkwardly and frustratingly. I kind of want to put it out on the white side because I have, obviously the hand's so white heavy, but maybe I need, I can't risk not having a red source later on down the line. Alright. I'm going to put it on white. I'm going to put out the Clever Lumimancer, thinking that if they have a shock, I can blank it with the Defiant Strike, pumping the Clever Lumimancer up to a 2/3. If they have a Lightning Strike here, not a whole lot I can do about it. What is this? Okay. So land, not a land. Whenever a source you control deals non-combat damage to an opponent, it gets +1 and +0 until the end of turn with Double Strike. Well, that can get out of control real quickly. That's a pretty cool card. I don't know if I've ever seen that. Chandra's Pyreling. Okay, I'm going to attack. If they want to block, I'm going to throw the Defiant Strike on it. Even if they don't, I'm still going to throw the Defiant Strike on it. Hold up the fight as 1. Too bad. I got to protect this Lumimancer and got to hope to find a mana source. Thermal Alchemist for the opponent. Pretty good blocker. So that's going to be really cool little synergy there. I like that a lot. So it goes up to a 2/3 double strike whenever Thermal Alchemist pings me. Okay. Yeah, not what I want to see. So now do I just... I think I just have to put out the Leonin Light Scribe and accept the fact that I might just lose my creatures here. I love this synergy. The opponent is doing something super neat. Okay, well, this thing's going to get out of control real fast, especially if they have a way of untapping it. Yeah, I can't block. I'm going to take 5 damage here. I'm really surprised they didn't... Whenever a source you control deals non-combat damage to an opponent, so why wouldn't they get an extra bit of damage in on me? Hey, there is a red source and a blue source. Still can't cast out the Beamsplitter Mage, but maybe it's okay to put up the Leonin Light Scribe here. Hold up the fight as 1 as a blocker on the Chandra's Pyreling. Give indestructible to some of my creatures so I can absorb some of the damage next turn. Yep. And then hopefully go off with the Invigorated Rampage next turn. Yeah, I don't understand the opponent's decision not to do the Thermal Alchemist to pump up the Pyreling when they attacked last turn. That doesn't make any sense to me. Okay.
Chandra, you need more control.
Okay.
Just let me burn. Say hi to my fiery friends.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, things are getting terrifying. So I'm definitely going to block. I'm definitely going to block. If they do this, I'll go down to 9, and then I die. So I 100% have to block like that. And I gotta hope for... What is the opponent doing? Why? They might be giving me a chance to win here, because this doesn't have trample. So now they only have one blocker back. They're not gonna... I don't think they have a way of untapping these Thermal Alchemists. I don't know how much damage this is. I'm not going to count it. It's not enough damage, unfortunately. So, oops, I didn't mean to do that. I didn't mean to pass through that. Maybe it's a blessing in disguise because I can put out the Clever Lumimancer and hope to do something better next turn with all this damage. Yeah, I wanted to unselect the creatures that I was attacking with. Whatever. Hit the wrong button. Cavalcade. Okay, so they're representing quite a bit of damage. Both of these are going to attack. That's 4 damage plus 3 more. 7. I got to be careful of a lightning bolt. But right now I'm just hoping to find a Defiant Strike or a Fight as One off the top. Those are going to be like the best cards. God's willing. I don't understand this. Unless this is a light up the stage. It's the only way that Thermal Alchemist trigger makes sense. Oh, okay, well, she can do that. I always forget that she has one more ability. So you got to tap your other 2 alchemists. There you go. Okay. I love this. I have never seen a deck like this from the opponent. We are very likely dead. I should have attacked last turn. Again, misclicking on that really sucked. Lightning Strike is real bad. It just means I'm dead. Oh, no, I'm not. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. I'm very dead. For some reason, I thought they were tapped. You know, brain functions. Okie doke. Love it. Absolutely love it. I don't know if I missed lethal last turn. If I would have cast the Invigorated Rampage, it would have pumped this up by 2. So 2, 6, and then I would have gotten another 6, 12. Is it 16 damage? I'm going to have to look at the replay. I'll put a little trigger once I count it out a little bit better. Oh well, what can you do? Next one. Yeah, I had fun. Alright, game 6. Time to get back into winning. Got our 1 loss because things were going too well. I had to be silly and click the wrong things here and there. So here's the awkward part about this deck that I was very worried about from the start. Selfless Savior and Clever Lumimancer being 1 CMC white drops, and then Beamsplitter being Izzet colors makes it very awkward when your mana is something like this. What do you do? Actually, I just throw it away. Yeah. This is a better hand. Okay. Be nice to find a few more spells. We are up against a Yorion deck, so they might be a little bit slow. In which case, maybe I'm throwing away the Leonin Light Scribe and going for the turn 3 kill. I think so. You gotta go for it, right, with this deck? Alright. Good luck, opponent. Tap land. Well, that's not what I want to see. But still have 1 more draw. Attack in for 0. Since we're having fun. May as well. Opponent seems to be taking their time reading the Beamsplitter Mage. Assessing how much of a threat it is. It's enough of a threat to do that. Ooh! Well, Valky gets in the way, unfortunately, of the kill if we do find a white. There it is. Well, I'd be a fool not to try, right? So, Okay, actually, this is interesting because this is something that my friend and I were talking about. We don't know how it actually works out because the Beamsplitter Mage says whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell that targets only Beamsplitter Mage, if you control one or more other creatures, that spell could target. Choose one of those creatures. So I have to cast Fight as One to only target Beamsplitter Mage, and I'm going to do that because I want to see what happens. So we get the first one. I don't think it'll... Yeah, it didn't actually end up triggering. That's kind of what we suspected was going to happen. He suspected more than I did. But, alright, still. Get to attack. That was more for figuring out if Fight as One actually worked with the Beamsplitter Mage definitively. Figured it wouldn't, and now certainly no, it doesn't. Still, I think as a 2-of in the deck, it's probably pretty important to have in the deck, just because of how much spot removal is floating around. So unless the opponent has a way of dealing with either of these creatures, Baleful Mastery, still gonna do this. So, learned a little something and dunked on the opponent for 16. I definitely worked that all out and knew exactly what was going to happen if the opponent had a Baleful Mastery. I'm a genius after all. Next one. Game 7. Hopefully things keep going. I can't believe how fast these games have been. I think this is even faster than the... What was I going to call it? The other Boros Magecraft deck that I played. Again, a little bit awkward not having a white source. Oh man, this is almost good enough. I'm going to throw it back. Alright. Keep it. Am I just throwing away the land? Yep. And I'm going to assume the opponent doesn't have interaction because they're playing Gruul sleeves. They're going to trick me with their trick. Trick me with the trick, that's right. And I'm going to believe they only have a Bone Crusher Giant. Oh, I really want to fire off this Unleashed Fury. I mean, it's only 4 damage, but... if I lose this Lumimancer, I'm going to cry, so I can't do it. Just expecting the Bone Crusher Giant. Like an open book. So we keep the Lumimancer around. We get another white source, which is... yeah, it's fine. And then, I guess, I Reckless Rage like that. Get in for 2. I mean, it's still not great. On the mulligan against this deck, gotta hope. Although, if I do get a land next turn, things can get real fun with Invigorated Rampage plus Unleashed Fury. Wow, words. Not quite lethal, though. Just a little bit short. Well, you know, I think I probably have to tempt fate here. Domia for 16. Doing all I can. Completely cardless now. I don't know, maybe the opponent... oh, no, there's the opponent. So they have their Bone Crusher. Ah, okay, Gruul Spellbreaker. And now, God's Willing. Best card in the deck. Oh. Well, the opponent gave me a chance there. Very brave of the opponent to just attack with the Gruul Spellbreaker. Now... Scavenging Ooze, okay. They have 2 blockers. 3 blockers. Kind of need Invigorated Rampage. Take my beats. I don't count that one as a win. I'm not sure what was going on with the opponent. Something was funky. Once I blanked that Bone Crusher Giant, something was obviously up with them. They were taking a long time to make decisions. And they're in a good spot here. I don't know why they are going to concede. Especially knowing I drew the Sacred Foundry. One more. Hopefully get a win. Alright, last one with the Beamsplitter. So far, the Beamsplitter did a couple of cool things, but for the most part, it's just, you know, Boros aggro stuff doing cool Boros aggro stuff. This hand looks okay to me. I think I'm probably going to lead out with the Selfless Savior, and then probably Dreadhorde Arcanist now that I drew it. Something I can protect very easily with the Savior. Rubber of the Reach. Okay, well, they're going to get a card from us. It is a Pathway. No block. And Fight as One. Not the worst card. So, I will get in for one as well. And then it's kind of looking like a turn... Darn. Alright. Goblin Chain Whirler. Not a card I expect to see very often. Really good against my offerings, though. Alright. Clever Lumimancer, and then I think it's going to be a God's Willing, holding up God's Willing, although the Fight as One's going to be really good as well, because we do manage to have a wizard and a human. I'm not sure if I've mentioned it yet, there aren't many humans in the deck. In fact, there's only Lumimancer. So, get to blank this Chain Whirler, and leave a couple of really good blockers up. Attack. You can do it. Alright. Do I want to use God's Willing now to get a Scry? I kind of think I do. That's why I set the stop here. So let's do this. Put it on red. Defiant Strike is pretty good. Defiant Strike gives me 2 draws. I think it's just better. Yeah, okay. So I really need to hit a land here. Oh, it doesn't give me 2 draws. It gives me 1 draw. I forgot I was not attacking with the Dreadhorde Arcanist. Okay. So, little unfortunate there. Maybe I should have had more foresight and put the God's Willing on the Dreadhorde Arcanist. I was just thinking of pushing damage with the Lumimancer. Now I'm going to take quite a bit of damage here. Okay. Well, all things considered, you know, the games were going very well. This kind of sucks against an aggressive deck. Goblin Chain Whirler's fantastic in this particular case. And there's not a whole lot I can do. Let's put out the old Beamsplitter Mage just to say he landed on the board. And that'll be it. Okay, give the opponent the old hearts. We've been bested. And no block. Ugh. Opponent with the BM. I guess I overkilled my opponent by like 20 or 30 damage at one point in this video, so I can't really talk. Anyways, go to a wrap-up. Alright, so this Jeskai Beamsplitter Aggro Magecraft deck is pretty powerful, obviously. You saw a couple of games where the deck didn't find any kind of resistance and it just popped off and destroyed the opponents by like turn 4, turn 5. It was pretty awesome performance. Of course, the deck does fall apart when your opponents are running plenty of spot removal. We do have ways of dealing with it, like God's Willing, Fight as One, and the Selfless Savior. That's 10 cards that can protect our key creatures, but still that slows down the game plan. the way I play this deck is very aggressively. The creator, my friend who made this idea or gave me this idea, says that he plays a little bit slower, tries to aim for like a turn 4, turn 5 combo kill, load up the board, and then go off with Beamsplitter Mage. Since it does generate so much damage, you don't really need chip damage, as he says. You basically just need one big massive hit when you're pumping up your creatures with all these great spells. There are also lots of cards that we've kind of considered for the deck. He plays Mavinda as a 2-of in the deck. I took Mavinda out in favor of Fight as One because when I was testing the deck, I was running into a lot of spot removal, and I thought Mavinda was probably just a little bit too slow for what I wanted to be doing. My friend also recommended Shelter. It's a little bit of a slower land, but it is a good budgetary land. Obviously playing a lot of rare lands. If you don't have these lands, you're going to have to figure out something else, and Shelter is a good way of adding a little bit of protection and another white source to the deck. Additional Dreadhorde Arcanists are a thing to consider. Infuriate would be another great card to put in, because if you're casting that on Beamsplitter Mage and copying it for Lumimancer, well, things are going to get real silly real fast. Alcide, another source of protection, and then Soulscar Mage is another one that I would like to toy around with. The big fault in the deck that I still don't like is the fact that I have to go turn 1 white card into turn 2 Izzet card, and it's just hard. You basically need to start with the Sacred Foundry and then go into a Steam Vents to have effective mana with this type of deck. Still super fun, super fast games, and hey, if you're looking for something a little bit different, maybe try out Beamsplitter Mage. I think there's probably a lot of room for exploration with this card. Mess around with it and come up with your own ideas. It is pretty fun, and I actually didn't know it existed until earlier this week, so I'm sure there are lots of other cards out there that are similar, just great things that are flying under the radar. Anyways, enjoy your weekend, take care for now, and see you in the next one. Bye-bye.